to corner crochet. I've been really looking forward to this part. I hadn't done corner to corner crochet before, and I have to tell you, it's a revelation to me. It's so relaxing. It's just beautiful. I really hope you enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed it. Now, our pattern has a little bit of interest. It's not kind of solid. It's a little bit of interest with these eyelet rows that are going through it. They're really simple to do. In between the eyelet rows, we've kind of got 3 rows, and you'll see how those 3 rows are made up, which give us this solid sort of band going through the middle of them. Beautiful and really, really easy to do. Let's have a look. Right, this small piece that I've just worked is what your piece will look like at the end of row 4. So if I sort of show you that a little bit closer up, what you can see is it's made up of 4 blocks. It's 4 blocks tall, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 blocks wide, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And each of those blocks are made up with, if I turn it over this way, you can see 3, 1, 2, 3 treble crochet. That's all they are. You can't see very well on this one because it's been covered up, but there's also a 3 chain that goes up there. Let me look up at this one here. You will see on the end there's your 3 chain, and there's 1, 2, 3 treble. All right, so really each of those blocks, that's all that makes up each of those blocks, and all that the way that it's sort of stepped up is just some very clever and simple turning and slip stitching. It's lovely. Shall we start? Because I think it's one of those things that you just need to get it in your hands and have a go with to see how easy it is, because your hook ends up kind of in an intuitive position to put stitches in it, and you'll see what I mean as we go along. Let's make a start. Right, as I demonstrate this, I'm going to work through the first few rows of the corner to corner part of the pattern. I'm going to ignore the chart for now. I just want to get the technique kind of clear with you, and then we'll have a chat about the chart and the diagram after. Okay, so we'll start at row 1, and we're going to start with 6 chain, which is tremendously familiar if you've just come out of doing the mandalas. So we will make a slip stitch. Late in the day and I can't do anything, it seems, with my fingers. There we go. 6 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so you'd be familiar probably with working into chains as if you're sort of starting a piece of work off like this, and this isn't anything unusual. We're going to work some trebles into this chain. We're not going to work them into every single one. We're going to miss the first 3 chains from the hook, so miss, 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 and we're going to make our first treble into that one there. Okay, so if I do so, what that means is, again, not unusually, where the work has bent back on itself, those three chain, they're kind of counting as your first treble, so not unusual. So 1 treble has gone into the chain, 2 treble now going in, and here comes the last treble going into the first chain we made. It's always quite tricky, isn't it, that one? And I'm not going to fuss too much with getting... Oh no, I've done it. Lovely. Okay. That's the end of row 1. So we've just got that beginning kind of 3 chain where we bent the work back on itself, and 3 trebles. Okay, a lovely short row 1. Let's move on to row 2. And row 2 is very much the same. We're going to do 6 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and exactly the same thing again. We're going to put 3 treble into that chain, but we're going to skip the first 3 chains. So skip, 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 and put our next one in to the 4th chain from the hook. So we're going to put 1 treble, and then 2 treble. Oh, I've split the yarn. Let's try that again. It. 2 treble and 3 treble. Okay, Let's stop and look at what we look here. We look like we've got a lovely little pair of trousers. How lovely. Right, we need to turn before we can carry on and do anything. And by turn, I always think of it as just, we're just going to flip this left part up. If I flip that upright, and then I kind of hold my hook horizontally, my hook is in exactly the right position for where I want to go next. Because what I'm going to do next, and if I'm just going to take this hook out to show you, is you can see this beginning chain here. I'm going to be working into that space now, into that space. So let me go ahead and do that. And the first thing I'm going to do is put a slip stitch into there to sort of anchor it together. Now what you can immediately see is that we've got two different directions that our stitches are going. The stitches on the left here are horizontal, the stitches on the right are vertical. So that's going to give us, if we go back to our little sample piece here, that's going to give us that kind of brickwork or basket weave or whatever you want to call it effect. We've got stitches going in two different directions. Very clever indeed. Okay, so we've slip stitched and we're going to do 3 chain. Again, this won't be unfamiliar. If you're going to start work on a new row with some trebles, you've got to do some chains to get your hook up to the right height, haven't you? So that's all we're doing there, so 3 chain. And now we're going to put 3 treble into that same space. So that is to say the space between that first beginning chain and that first treble. So it's lovely, easy, there's no sort of forcing hook through chains or anything like that. It's just literally in that space which is created on the end of that little brick. I'm going to call it a brick, I think. Okay. And that is the end of row 2.